Let's Talk Feelings, a deep dive with Lily Lowe. Today we will be talking about daddy issues. What do you girls think about that?
I don't even think.
She said no thoughts for this.
No thoughts, just traumas.
Uh, I mean,
What do I think about what it is?
like,
I
do you have a
mean,
lot to say about it?
we'll see. If I start crying, that means I wasn't okay with it. But
I kind of want to start this off with a little something. So, I want to ask you guys, what do you do when the first man who was supposed to love you didn't? When your inner child is still waiting at the window hoping he comes back? They usually call those situations daddy issues. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with your dad. It could do with a man that was involved in your life. In my situation, it could be my dad. How do you feel about daddy issues? Like, what about this topic? Why do you want to talk about this topic today?
well,
Stuff I
I
can
feel like
say.
it's a topic that, especially una gran parte of Latin America, has something to say about it. And I think we all have different situations with our dads, but still, they're all at some point hurtful, and they have been affecting us somehow, even though we don't know it, or we don't want to like accept the fact that it is still affecting us even till like now at our 20s 30s. I'm gonna say my age.
And asked if she's 30.
I mean, you look like you're 25 right now, but I have a question. Is your dad in your life right now?
He is.
Is he the type of dad that you see occasionally, every day, never?
I feel like my dad, when I was a child, he was not there for my birthdays. He was not there for anything important in my life. And now that I'm like an adult, I've been the one helping him and kind of helping him out to like get out of some type of like some sort of problems that they're like kind of complicated. So, and now I've realized how he's being a dad to my sister, the type of dad that he was not to me.
So you said that he wasn't in your life when you were young, but now you're helping him out as an adult. Why? If he wasn't in your life when you were a kid, why are you helping him now as an adult?
It's not that he wasn't at all. I
He was present.
correct. Like, as actually a few years ago, I just found out that he didn't know when my birthday was. Um, but he was never there for like any important situation, any important achievement. And of course, like he would always try to reach out to my mom, trying to, find out how I'm doing
Right.
every once in a while, like once a year, probably. But then right now, he's been through a lot of things, and I didn't want to like something to happen to him and me being with the
To feel guilty.
guilty for not helping him out. So that's just me being so empathetic. That's probably the reason why I've been helping him get out of those things. And that's why, like, honestly, I don't regret it. I'll do it once again. But still, I feel like I'm doing this out of like just my empathy side, but not because I've kind of gone over it.
Well, I do want to say that just because he wasn't in your life, I mean, I don't know if you agree with what I'm about to say because it's you, but um, just because someone wasn't in your life, I mean, you don't have to have the same behavior as that person once had. I just asked because I feel like I'm the kind of person that because you weren't there, I shouldn't have to be there now in your life. It could be that I'm very grudgeful, but I'm the kind of person that's very like, you weren't there in some of my most critical moments as a child. I think every child needs their parents in their lives. So I feel like, oh, like, why should I be in your life now? You can figure it out. I felt like I had to figure it out. In your case, it would be with your mom. So, Why should I help you figure it out now? That's me. I don't know if that helps, if the issues that you've had with your father in your childhood, or the fact that he hasn't been a present father during your childhood, does it affect you now as an adult? Like, do you feel like it's affecting you even though you're in his life right now? Do you feel like the fact that he wasn't present affects you?
Yeah, 100%. Especially because I didn't know until I went to like therapy, and I just realized that the way I kind of have relationships with, doesn't matter if it's just a friendship, if it's just, I don't know, alguien sentimental, una relación, it does affect me. And creo que la razón por la que me he mantenido alejada de los hombres, it's been because if the first person that was supposed to take care of me didn't, why would I think that someone else would?
That's good. Andrea, what do you have to say about that? What do
Oh,
you
that's
think?
the one, guys.
Do
That's
you
the
think
one.
that the one guy? Do you think that the one guy that was supposed to be there for her and wasn't? That mean, yeah, but do you think that means that there's no guy out there that's gonna love her just because her dad wasn't present?
No, but it makes it harder for her. She's always in her masculine.
You have your dad in your life right now.
Yes, I do.
How do you feel about that? Has he always been present?
He has a present physically, yes, until I was like 12 when I moved here. And he's always been present, but then I used to see him once a year, and now I see him a couple times a year. But he's present. I talk to him every day.
Do you have any daddy issues?
I think I do, but they start later on in life. He's not present physically there, so I can only rely on him money wise or conversation wise, but not like sometimes you need that person there.
My dad has always been in my life ever since I was a kid. My parents are not together; they are divorced. And I would say they got divorced maybe when I was 5. I have terrible memory, but they did get divorced. You too?
106.
My parents after that became best friends. If you were to ask me, I would say I prefer them being separated than being together. I think that was amazing. They have a great relationship. I've always had a great relationship with my dad. So has my sister, but that doesn't mean that I myself don't have any daddy issues. So, my story is basically my dad was more present as a child than I want to say an adult. So it's kind of the opposite from you, right? My dad's present, but he's the kind of person that he says he's, for example, if we're gonna have a get together, he'll be like, oh, like I'm going, or you don't invite me to your house. But when I invite him, he's always busy. So he makes me feel like I'm not making him a part of my life now as an adult. But when I try to do that, he's very like,
He doesn't make it feel important.
exactly, I'm working. So it gets to the point where, like I said, I think I'm very grudgeful. So I'm kind of like, why should I invite you? I've invited you 5 times. I'm not going to invite you a 6th time. So I do think that that's kind of affecting my relationship with him, because it gets to a point where I don't even try anymore. I'm like, whatever. If you want to come, come. How? I don't know. I guess because it's not going to come from me. But I mean,
Do you communicate it to him?
I don't. That's a good question.
So how is he supposed to know?
Have you communicated in the past and probably not gotten the right answer or like the right response?
Or you just haven't said it at all?
You guys are coming at me. Okay. Well, I like your questions because, I think it's the fear of maybe rejection. I've noticed, and that's actually not just with him, that's with anybody. If I invite you somewhere and you say you can't, that makes me feel terrible.
I invite you to every single thing in my life, and you say no to 95% of it, and I still invite you.
But I promise it's because I really can't.
Maybe he really can't.
He can. My dad is a man who he owns his own company. And his excuse for everything that he can be present to is because he works. So as an owner of your company who you work alongside with your daughter, not me, my sister, that knows the workflow that you have going on, and she says he can make it, it's just he chooses not to. It's kind of like, okay, either one, he's obsessed with his job, or two, I don't know what it can be, but I'm your daughter, like we only have our parents for so long, right? I mean, don't you wish you could see your dad. I mean, maybe not on a daily, but every weekend or every other weekend, or he just randomly shows up and says, "Hey, like, let's have a drink." I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know you visit your dad very often, and he doesn't even live here.
But he also visits me. But I've also my dad is the same. He's busy. He has a company, and I think I had to communicate it to him. So, for example, my dad, it can go weeks and he's not gonna call me. It can go days. Doesn't mean that he doesn't want to call me. He literally just forgets.
I don't even call my dad.
Exactly. So I talked to him and I told him, look, this makes me feel like you don't want to talk to me. So I know I'm not. I don't expect him to call me every day because it's not realistic for him. But he does call me now that I communicated to him.
I feel that that's what happens when you're not. You've never been sentimental. Or you've never. Nunca te has puesto I'm sorry, guys, but my Spanish better.
Can do both.
Nunca te has puesto o te has mostrado vulnerable ante él o ante cualquier persona in your family.
I think I have been very vulnerable around my dad. Like I said, it's a weird situation. I lived with my mom basically almost my whole life until I went to college. So I got my associates, then I got my when I went to go get my bachelor's, which I was maybe around what 26. I don't know. I'm not gonna do the calculation right now, but I had to move with my dad because I didn't have a car that I could rely on. So I moved with my dad um, to be a little bit closer to school, and we lived together for a while. Mind you, I lived with him for like 6 years. In those 6 years, a lot of hard things in my family happened where he saw like he saw me hit rock bottom. Not and I haven't been vulnerable with him. Maybe I've been vulnerable in certain situations, but it's a lot for me. Like it's hard for me to be vulnerable. You know, I like that you asked that because it is very hard for me to sit here and call him. And I think I did do it once and basically tell him, hey, you know, like you always say you're busy. Maybe I haven't done it, but for example, my sister has. So okay, yeah, it hasn't come from me, but my sister has stood in front of him and told him, hey, you know, like you're all we have. Like she's told him. My sister has been rock bottom vulnerable with him and told him, you're all we have. Actually, I take that back. We are all you have. My dad's parents passed away. His entire family lives in Cuba. Literally, the only thing he has here in Miami is me, my sister, and a cousin of his. That's it. And that man still, it's so hard for him to just make time for his daughters.
Maybe there's other reasons.
Maybe there is. I think it's him. I literally think it's just him. So you have someone who didn't have her dad in her childhood, someone who has had her dad partially in her childhood, and then someone who has had her dad in her entire life. But there is something I would also like to mention that I forgot to mention at the beginning of this was that it, we're just talking our feelings. You know, we're just saying how we feel about our certain situation or circumstance. I think that, you know, we're not really trying to give any specific advice or any of that. Disclaimer. Yeah, no advice. We're just
Yeah,
we're
don't
just
take
talking
advice from
feelings.
us.
So I want to say that basically what we're trying to do is just say how we feel about certain topics in life
They're gonna think we're sending them all this advice.
that have affected us or have affected our loved ones. And at some point, I know that there's people out there that want to share how they feel and talk to other people about it and can't. Who knows? But yeah, just disclaimer. I think I've talked enough.
I wanted to ask Maria something.
Oh, Andrea wants to ask Maria something.
Ooh.
I love questions. This is what makes it fun.
Well, I know how it affects your relationships, but I want you to tell them how it affects your relationship with other partners in your life, like a boyfriend.
Well,
And I want you to touch on how you take the masculine side.
I love my masculine side. Stop
How
freaking
what?
criticizing.
Specify that?
Like how when she's in a relationship, instead of being like feminine, how she wants to be, she puts like a wall and she's very masculine about it. Like she doesn't let. Oh, you can talk about how what I've seen. She doesn't take the girl in the relationship. She wants to receive flowers, but she doesn't tell them.
Yeah, I can never sit back and relax. Never.
What do you mean you can't sit back and relax?
The thing is, I feel like ever since, I mean, I feel like my whole life it's only been my mom and me, and I'd say like 2 years ago, my mom started having like more of these health issues, and I'm the one that's supposed to take over because who else is gonna have her back?
Right.
And I'm totally okay with that. But that also means me being always prepared for whatever might come.
Because your parents are divorced as well, right? It's probably
They
obvious
were
at
never
this point,
married.
but oh, they were never married. Okay.
It's a long story. First of all, my mom was 11 years older than my dad when they
Yeah.
had me. Um, and it was also something that my mom just wanted a kid, and she like wanted it so bad, and that's why I'm here. But I feel like I have to be always prepared for whatever might come, because that's the way I've been growing up. That's the way that I've been able to fight life, and hasn't been easy for me to fight life, but still I've been able to manage it. And that's the way I've been able to do it. Now, when someone comes into my life, mind you, it's not easy to find a masculine man nowadays.
It's not easy, but if you yourself are feminine, I've never had a man who's not masculine. And if I do, they take that role because I ask for. And by masculine, I mean like not like masculine as you're thinking. By masculine, we mean like being a girl. Like I don't have to open my doors. They can take care of me. Like
I want to touch base on that.
what about it?
I think, which is what Maria's trying to say, is a gentleman, right? Someone
Just
who,
somebody take care of her.
I mean, but do you really not let a man take care of you? Like a man that comes and says, I mean, I think it's really hard nowadays to find a guy that would literally say, "Hey, honey, stay in bed. I'm gonna go ahead and make you a cup of coffee," or "I'm gonna take it upon myself to, open the door for you. If we're gonna go somewhere, I'll open the car door for me for you." That's really hard nowadays to find that. I think everyone has maybe a different definition of what a gentleman is, but for example, let's say you're in a relationship right now, right, with her boyfriend. Let's say you have a boyfriend right now. Describe in a few words what your relationship would look like, because I want people to understand what you guys mean by I won't let myself be a lady. I have to kind of be a little bit tough and mow the lawn because my man's being super lazy and not mowing the lawn. Like
I feel like my man's being lazy is not gonna be my man, first of all. Um, I also feel like a relationship for me, a supportive relationship, would be me fighting like on my own for my things, for my personal goals, but then also knowing that I have this safe place where I could go to in case my side's not going well.
I like this. So what you're trying to say is that you're not gonna sit back and be like, like I have a man, he's gonna provide for me, and I'll just work because I have to work. You want to be hand in hand with that person, like a 50-50 relationship. Is that what you consider like?
I don't mind it, and even if it wasn't a 50-50 relationship, that let's say that I have the privilege to just stay in bed and like do whatever I want at home, be a housewife. Um, I'll even like hustle for my goals because that means I will have more time. So I even hustle for different type of goals.
So do you think that you won't find that? Is that what it is? You don't.
I've found it in the past.
Can I add to it?
Yeah.
Because I've seen her in a relationship, not a relationship, but like a situation. I think that it all starts with the people who she looks for,
Why do you say that?
because the people who she looks for are people who are not
No, it's actually pretty common.
Okay, go ahead.
okay. She would always tell me how like, oh, he doesn't take me out on a date. It's always we go somewhere together. He doesn't take initiative. And it's because she doesn't set those standards for her because she didn't have those standards in her life growing up. To bring it back to the daddy issues, I feel like that aligns with that. So then she has all these troubles, and then she says she can't find it because she's not aligned with those standards.
Definitely learned from that experience. I feel it's something that right now I feel like if I have to think about the place we're going to, I'm not going now.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. So you're telling me that you have a boyfriend right now, and if he says, "Hey, babe, let's go out to dinner tonight," and he tells you, pick a place, you're not gonna pick a place?
Not on the first dates. this can happen like 3 months in the relationship, but
So you're talking about a first date. So what if the guy asks you, "Hey, where would you like to go have dinner tonight?"
we're not going anywhere then because you invited me on the first day. You
But he's asking you, what if you don't like Italian food and he takes you to an Italian restaurant?
How would he not know I don't like Italian food?
because if we've talked, you should know that.
Okay, let me clarify. It's very different when it comes to me, so it's an interesting perspective when it comes to both of you. But I mean, the way I see it, right, is it's a first date, right? Like you never know when a first date is gonna happen. It can happen a week into you talking. It can happen 2 days into you talking. You don't really know the person. I mean, come on, like you've been with someone for 5 years. I don't know, whatever your longest relationship is, and you still don't know that person. I'm a big and firm believer on I can be with someone for 20 years and I still don't know who that person is 100%. Why? Because we're evolving every single day. We're changing. I get that the man in your situation has to have it all figured out, but
Not all figured out, but if you're taking one of us on a date, you need to have a plan. It just shows what kind of man you are.
I get it. But I also think that it's okay.
And you pick something safe. You pick like a safe restaurant.
Right, but I mean, I wouldn't get upset if the guy asks me, hey, a woman in my case, but asks me, hey, where would you like to go eat? Like, would you get mad at that? Really? Like, I get it. You wouldn't go anywhere. But,
Not that I wouldn't go anywhere. It's just it's nice for them to have that.
okay, but we're talking about a first date. You still can't even, I don't know. I don't know.
I think my point was not very clear. Like once we're going out after a whole week that I probably had a lot of things going on. 'Cause trust me, a lot of things happened throughout my week, and still having to try to figure it out, like a place that we're both going to enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong. If I'm already in a relationship and I know you had a bad day, and I know you need me to take the initiative, I would do it.
that deserves a drink.
Get it though. You don't want. I don't know. I think the same way as her.
I would definitely do it, but I also think that a man that just tells me, "Okay, I'm picking you up at this time. Just get ready. I have a place that I'm pretty sure you're gonna love." Also, I'm a people pleaser, and I feel like if the place I chose,
I'm gonna pretend it's good.
No, I don't agree.
Oh, I'm gonna pretend it's good. You can take me anywhere. I'm gonna pretend it's good. But you took the initiative.
I get it, but
well,
you
we'll
see,
pretend. I never say I don't like the food I ate, even though I didn't like it.
look, there's a few things I learned in life, and one of them is that if you don't like a place, or something while you're eating it, you tell that person. I mean, it's okay, but like I love the fact that you took the initiative. I think that honesty is very important because the fact that you're just lying off of the first date already, I think that's a huge red flag.
Not lying, but they took they planned something for you, so you're not gonna tell them it's bad, and you're gonna like it because they planned it for you.
Yeah, but taking an initiative and being thankful about it has nothing to do with you being honest and saying, I love the fact that you did this, but like next time, let's pick something different.
Well, let's say he take look for example, me. I'm allergic to seafood. If he offers a seafood restaurant, first of all, he's gonna say a name, and I'm gonna look it up, and I'm like, look, I'm allergic.
What if it's a surprise? He took the initiative to surprise
Oh, it's
you.
gonna be a surprise for him that you guys end up at the
Exactly.
hospital.
You see what I mean? But you believe it or not,
No, but this is something. For example, in my case, I would be like, okay, I'm allergic to seafood, so where are we going? Like, can I know the name of the place just so I can look at the menu because of my food allergies? But he still took that initiative. In this case, Maria doesn't have any food allergies. She's gonna go anywhere he takes her.
The thing also with me, I feel like it it's a lot. Like I feel sad when I say, "Okay, let's go to this place. I know you're gonna love it," and that person makes comments. Mind you, whatever you say about a place that I probably like but you didn't like, it's nothing like has nothing to do with me. But I'm still gonna feel so sad if you make a comment that might be hurtful for me, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh,
which is
he didn't
similar.
like it."
It's similar to what I was saying earlier about my father, and you see how one thing kind of relates to the other. Like, oh, yeah,
Right.
thank you for inviting me to your barbecue, but I have to work. Oh, it's like, okay, he has to work for a living, right? Either way. So why do I feel bad that he's telling me that? It's
That's
kind of
the
the
thing.
same.
It all comes up to rejection.
Yeah.
I don't like rejection,
Yeah, I
and
don't like
that's
it
why I
either.
never reject anything. I'm a people pleaser, and wherever you take me, I'm gonna love it, even though I didn't. You're gonna think that I loved it.
And I feel like that makes you end up in certain situations or relationships that you're not really happy with.
So I have a question. Exactly. I feel like if you go to a restaurant where this guy took the initiative, right, to take you, why not be honest? Why not just sit there and be like, like I'm like in shock and in love with the fact that you took the initiative. Okay, there you're already acknowledging the fact that he took the initiative, which was the most important part. I think for you girls, the most important part here is for the guy to take the initiative versus where he's taking you. So if he already completed the most important part, which was taking the initiative, taking you out, and you don't like the food, why not be honest, right? It's like you asked me, why have you been honest with your dad? Have you been vulnerable with your dad? Why not be vulnerable with that person and kind of tell them, hey, like I said, I love that you brought me here, but God, that steak was terrible.
I find that like a little white lie though.
Ah, white lies.
Like with the father relationship, that's different. I am very vocal about my emotions and everything with every single person. But a restaurant, it's like a white lie to me.
It's a white lie, but what if that person wants to take you back to that restaurant?
Oh, I'm gonna tell him after the first time. So if we make it to a second date,
So after you told him on the first date that you loved everything, and now he's gonna take you, let's say, on a fifth date back to that same restaurant.
I liked it enough. I'm not going to go the second time. Dating 101.
But you see what I mean? Like, what is so hard about being honest? I think that the fact that you can't be honest with someone about simply telling them you didn't like a steak or a piece of meat, dessert, anything, is already so wrong. Like, you're the one that's actually wrong, right? This person is doing everything 100%, and here you are just lying to that person. I mean, maybe daddy
I think it has
issues.
a lot to do since when I was growing up, of course, with my mom, we would go to restaurants. Mind you, my mom always was this. She's diabetic, so like she has estos problemas con su temperamento. She would get mad so easily, and we would go out, and she would be like eating and complaining about the food, and I'm still traumatized with that. So I don't want that. I don't want that person that I'm with going through all that situation because I know how hard it is. So I would not complain about anything. I would just be like, okay, if I like it, okay, good. If I loved it, I'm gonna let you know. And if I didn't like it, I'm just gonna be like, next time he offers me to go there, probably we're gonna have more confianza.
Especially with the person that I'm with now, if we go out to eat, I've learned that if I don't like something, I need to be honest about it. One, because you should never put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable or something that you don't like. So, and I've actually felt that it helps because we're being completely honest with each other. But that's it. It didn't hurt the person. It didn't hurt me. Now the person knows, hey, like she doesn't like the steak, but maybe she'll like something else next time. And I've learned that being honest and being vulnerable with that person has actually helped me. Not just with that person. I've done it every now and then at people's houses where I'm like, oh, like I'm sure.
Cocina
I'm
mejor.
sure. Well, no,
I don't even eat at anybody's houses just so I'm not forced to eat their food. I haven't. What if I don't like it?
it's because it's not a matter of you sitting there and telling the person, hey, I didn't like your food. I thought it was nasty. It's those little white lies. You can sit there right now and have the wings that we're cooking on the barbecue and not like them and say, I didn't like it. I think maybe it was the seasoning or something, but there's something I didn't like. And it's just simply that you didn't like how we cooked them, And I can be like, oh, wow, like she didn't like the seasoning. Okay. So I think that maybe I'm going to give you guys homework. Again, I'm no expert, but try to be honest about those things that I myself consider kind of silly. You know, you went out with someone, you didn't just eat a plate of food. I'm sure you probably had a drink. I'm sure you had an appetizer, especially when you're going on a date. You girls are a little high maintenance, so
As we should be.
as you should be.
Then you end up on in a 5-year relationship
I agree. Hey,
and not happy.
there you go. So Start, I mean, I would say practice it, you know, like just be honest with the person. I liked everything but my piece of steak. That's great communication. I don't know what you guys think, but you
It's
agree?
funny because probably that person's gonna be, oh my
They
god,
agree.
me
The people in the
neither.
background agree. So
It's funny because I think Andrea, my friend right here, she is all the way against.
We didn't even introduce ourselves. I'm Andrea.
I'm Maria.
and I'm Lily.
I feel like you're always kind of like against this masculine energy thing,
Yes, she
but
is.
this like holding your opinions. It's masculine. Like holding in whatever you thought about the food. It's actually masculine.
I think that's more of my empath side. I'm the same with everybody else around me and with anything. I can go to a restaurant and the food can be raw and I'm still gonna eat it. Like I'm so scared to say something.
There's nothing to be scared of.
If Lily tells me something right now and I'm not okay, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's it. I'm just an empath in that way.
And do you think that all that goes back to daddy issues? You think you not being honest about something has anything to do with a daddy issue? Is it that you weren't? Have you ever been honest with your dad about something?
Yeah,
About everything?
everything.
Even how you felt?
Yeah.
So why not be honest with a guy that's not even your dad?
No, I would just feel bad. I don't like a little white light like that.
You don't feel bad with your dad. So why with a guy that is not your dad? Because this is your father.
I mean, I'm not. I don't do anything bad to my dad either.
Right, but you're honest with him. I think we all deserve honesty. Just I'm just more honest about how I feel about certain things, and it's funny because I'm asking you about your dad and why not, be honest with someone, but the same thing happens to me with my dad. Me cuesta mucho. Probably the first Spanish thing I've said in this entire
Yeah, you guys are
episode.
making me look so bad.
Me cuesta mucho to
Que no me ha salido el Spanish, but look right now.
God
My bad.
to grab my dad and be like, dude, like I'm not gonna tell you anymore to go to my house. If you want to go, great, and if you don't. If work is your priority over your kids, then so be it.
But I think he doesn't know how important it is.
But my sister has told them. So what difference does it make?
It's not coming from you. It's like me and my sister. I tell my dad anything my sister has an issue with,
Maybe I'm a daddy's girl.
but it doesn't. It doesn't come from her.
Yeah, but that sucks.
It needs to come from you.
No, because he has two daughters. He doesn't only have one kid. You know what I mean?
But he doesn't know it. I'm picturing my dad as your dad. I'm picturing a person who like, no, no me lo dijeron. Then it's not there. The issue's not there.
You're trying him to figure it out if you actually like the restaurant or not.
Yeah. I don't. I don't know. I mean,
Honestly, if you ask me, I feel like my whole thing with not telling someone if I like the restaurant or not, it does has a lot to do with my daddy issues. Because I feel like most of the times that I've gone out with a guy, he's the one paying for the food. And I've never in my life had someone, a man specifically, paying for anything of mine.
oh wow.
Never. My dad was financially he was not present at all.
Question: do you get like, oh, like I don't want them to pay? Because I've seen people who are like, I don't want them to pay because of that. No, or you just let them.
Do you mind the person paying? Do you feel like you need to go half and half with them?
It took me some time to actually work on that because I will always be like, no, 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 like I'm gonna help, like I'm gonna pay. It took me like a hard.
I kind of agree with you ladies in that sense. I consider myself with like super high masculine energy. Um, and if I were to ever go on a date and take someone out on a date, I feel like I would have to pay. This whole stigma of who's the boy and who's the girl, that's nonsense. We're both girls, okay?
But do you think you still take a role?
Exactly. So I feel like even when I go on a date, no matter who it is, like, I still feel like I have to pay. And like you don't have to pay. So I think the fact that you ladies, that you are allowing that to happen, although it te costó, I think you should let it be. Now it does get to the point where sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm already in a relationship, we're together, like we should help each other. If it shouldn't always be the other person. That's what I'm trying to say. Like at first when you're trying to meet that person, it's okay. Like if the person wants to pay for you, let them. You know, it's okay for you to be like, are you sure? Show kind of like that you do care, not like, oh yeah, pay for me. I deserve it. I'm the queen of Rome. No, we're not the queen of Rome's, Andrea. But you should kind of show that. Go ahead, specify on that. You should show that empathy of like, let me, are you sure? And the person is 100%. Si no es un descarado, going to be like, oh, una descarada. I got it. Don't worry. It makes the other person feel good. Masculine energy.
Go on. Go on, ma'am.
Again, the masculine energy. Well, for Maria, it displays her daddy issues in financial ways, but mine is more like
Why does she speak and she's talking about me?
I know. You're a role model in her life.
yeah. And for me, it's more like physical. Like since I didn't have my dad physically with me, I need my partner to be like 24/7 there for me.
But what do you
Oh,
mean? Like that they
no.
need to be with you everywhere you go?
No, but like present,
In what aspect?
like quality time. Like I have to have like a lot of quality time.
And then you can call him whenever you're having a bad day.
Exactly, but I don't have a problem with financial. I actually expect since my dad, not that he did it on purpose, but it was his way of like what's the word? Like compensating, compensating for not being there physically. He did it financially. So everything I wanted, God was there. Like financially, I was okay, and I did it.
Not my dad. He was like not present, not financially either.
But I didn't have them there physically. So when I have a partner, I expect them to have like all this quality time with me. So I think like it displays differently to Maria.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like I said again, childhood traumas, right? In this case, like we're talking about today, it's daddy issues. Whatever happens to you as a kid doesn't necessarily reflect on who you are as an adult, but it does have some kind of indirect effect. Not every life partner is going to be perfect. So I think that, and again, I think relationships are 50-50. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Okay, this is how I see 50-50. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like women who have kids and are stay at home moms or any of that or work and have to take care of the house understand this. I've lived with a man, so I think I can vouch for this. 50-50 is not okay, 50 you pay this, 50 that, because women, it's been proven that women are always going to put more effort to the house. It's more work. So they're going to work, they're going to get home, have to still pay bills, and still have to take care of the house, cook, clean, and the mental load is still on them. So I think 50-50 doesn't exist in that aspect. It doesn't have to be financially only. So yeah, like the man, in my case, I feel like the man will have to take care of mostly all the financial stuff just because I know how I am and I've lived with a man, so I know at the end of the day, most of the time the women are gonna take over everything in the house. They're still gonna make sure that person is okay. They take care of the relationships, they take care of the emotions, and yeah.
You agree with that? I have a lot to say about that.
I feel like it is 50-50 in everything. It has to be 50-50 in everything.
But do you think that that's that? Do you like? Are you? Do you agree with that 50-50? Do you think that your 50-50 is the guy takes care of almost everything financially, and then you take care of like the house, the kids, the day to day, or do you think 50 is 50-50 for you? Like, if you can't pay this bill, I'll pay it. We'll kind of see how our bills are. We'll divide it. Hey, the baby's crying tonight, but if he cries tomorrow, I'm dead tired. Can you take care of it tomorrow? Is that your 50-50?
That's my 50-50.
That's my 50-50.
I mean, I agree in that too, but I was focusing more on like without kids. And like, for example, like if my husband cannot pay for like tiene una baja, like what am I gonna do? Not pay for it? I'm gonna take care of that too because they put their part. But it's just I don't know. As a woman, you take more of a mental, emotional load of the household. But it's okay. It's like whatever role you take, Lily, you're gonna fall. I think it's just all in the role that you take in your house. So maybe you take a different type of role. Maria wants to take a different type of role, and I would like to take more of a traditional wife role, and that's okay.
It is okay on whatever your 50-50 is. My 50-50 is very similar to Maria's in this situation. My 50-50 is, like what can we do together? Like I said, we're both humans. At this point, forget about female, male. we're humans, right? At the end of the day, we're all humans. So the way that I see it is, what can you do? What can you do? What do you need help in? So in my situation, that's how I am. I'm very like, okay, maybe I can do a little bit more than you, so I'm gonna do a little bit more than you, but I still need you to take care of this, 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 and this. We come to an agreement. You take care of the outside when it comes to gardening and mowing, and I take care of the inside. And there's even days where, for example, I don't need to mow the lawn or I don't need to do any gardening, and I say, you know what, I want you to finish quicker, so I'm gonna help you. I don't just sit in the couch and watch TV. And you know, I'm gonna tie it back to what the topic of today is. You know, I think we should all kind of make an effort. Just make an effort to be there for the person, to help the person. You know, if I want to ask my dad, hey, you know, I need you to come over, for him to say, you know, it's my daughter, I'm gonna come over. Like, you, we're all humans. We all need someone at some point for whatever reason.
But how you do your 50-50 is different because I've told you this before. It's so much different. Two women together. You both have the emotional I can't speak today. La capacidad. Capacidad. How do you say that in English?
The mental or emotional capacity.
To be able to do a fair 50-50. But most of the time that is, I don't know. Now that I've experienced it, it's different.
Experienced what?
Like having that 50-50 in a relationship with a man. Even though I thought my 50-50 is okay, like it works for me, like it works for us, whatever. But with a woman, it will be so much different because you both have like, okay, I can tell when another woman is down. I'm a woman, so I'm gonna understand when you're down. But a man most of the time doesn't, and it's not because they don't want to. I think it's literally just we're wired differently.
Maybe that's why I ended up with a woman, because of daddy issues. No, I'm just.
You think so? No, I think you had a good dad until you were. But I think you need to communicate with your dad. He's not gonna be able to know anything you feel. He's not a mind reader, and I know mine is not. And I've had to tell him, and I can feel like our dads are the same way in that aspect. So I feel like you need to tell him.
That has affected me in certain ways, where not just with him, with anybody. If, you know, I want something or I want to, you know, do something, I kind of even tell myself sometimes, don't do it or don't invite anyone, because someone's going to say no and you're going to get mad. Your me is me. So it's like, I hate it.
That's funny that you say that because I feel like you're just like that. You're literally just like that. Funny that you say that because I feel like you're just like that.
Yeah.
You're literally just like that.
Wow. Putting me in the spotlight, Maria. Come on. Defend me now, you know?
You are very much like your father. How you're describing it, you're just like him. And that's why your head crashing, like your heads are crashing because of that. Because you
And that's why you guys don't get along very well. You would also cancel things just because of work.
she never goes to anything.
Yeah, you never go to anything.
With one hand, I can name how many times she's gone to an event, and I invite you to every single thing I go to. And you're always busy. You're always too busy.
You agree with them?
You've never said no to me, so.
Tú tampoco vas a nada. But I can understand her, she has a responsibility.
And what do you think? I don't have a responsibility?
No, tú siempre tienes algo. I don't feel like I'm important enough to you because you never go to my stuff. No, I'm saying like, okay, take it take it real.
No, you're not the first person that's told me that, actually.
But it comes up like that because
That's funny because I actually feel important to you guys.
wait. Last year my birthday, she wasn't available. Nobody was available, and I didn't do anything for my birthday because of that. No, even Adriana was saying it. ¿Verdad, Adriana? Que tú estabas diciendo que el año pasado no hicimos nada. El año pasado no hicimos nada para mi birthday.
Don't say that. That makes me feel horrible.
Adriana was the only one that was able. She took me out to eat.
I remember that.
Yes. And I've canceled stuff to go do stuff with you.
Wow, putting life into perspective for me right now.
But taking it back, I think that's the same thing as your dad. So I think you're just like your dad. So you need to rethink.
So do you see how these daddy issues can actually affect you and not even notice that they're affecting you?
And it's not even just your relationships. I feel like even your friendships, like.
If I were otra persona, I would have never talked to you ever again. But since I'm an empath, I'm the nicest person there is.
I don't even think, I mean, yeah, you might be an empath, but I think it's the fact that you're a really good person. Because I have another friend that did that to me too. I've had two friends. One friend that told me, if you're going to keep asking me who's there every time I invite you somewhere, or who's going to be there, I'm just not going to invite you anymore, and you're going to have to figure it out, and it is what it is. And I've had another friend that's told me, you always say no to everything I invite you to. This is literally the last time I am going to invite you somewhere. And those two times that clearly they haven't been enough, but it's kind of sparked a neuron in my brain to those specific friendships. I've been like, you know what? Wow, like I need to change that. I'm the kind of person that does reflect and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop because they're calling me out of something and it's for a reason. And the first friend that told me, like stop asking, I literally stopped asking and I just started showing up. And the second one, I started showing up, but I am an adult, so life started to get a little harder. You have more responsibility, but I do show up every time I can, because I noticed how important it also is for that person. So it's funny how my dad kind of does reflect in who I am today, because it's something that I hate. So why do something that, wow,
Because the same way you don't realize it hurts other people, he doesn't realize that.
that is true.
Wow, me giving advice to a life coach.
Here I am going to
That
be in
was
Andrea's
really
birthdays for the
bad.
rest of her life, because that's
Yeah,
that's
now
sad.
she's
That
not
was
gonna
sad.
say. She's gonna regret.
I'm actually waiting to see what excuse you come up with today. I mean, this birthday. I was telling Adriana this.
What are you doing for your birthday?
I don't know, but I was like, I cannot count on you.
I'll
Maria.
be there. I promise.
Well, I will be there.
Tampoco vas a estar ahí.
Honestly, how many times have I said not to you, anything you invite me?
That's true.
And me and Maria are gonna start hanging out more.
The fact that I just texted Maria yesterday and I said, Maria, I need you to be a part of this whole podcast idea.
Yesterday, that was this morning.
That was today?
That was this morning. I was actually thinking, listen, this is how I overanalyze everything. I was thinking, this lady invited me today, meaning they probably had this plan since long time ago, but still, she did not invite me until this morning. That means they're missing out on one person, and she just told me that I was funny, and that she wanted me to be in the podcast just because of that. That's how she made it up.
No, have been a part of this whole podcast idea. I just
And let me tell you, I was actually gonna say no. I was like, if she's inviting me today, I feel offended.
no.
I'm gonna say no, but I'm trying to change.
You should have, because you see, like you're supposed to be here.
No, you were in the plans. You were in the plans.
But I mean, back to the daddy issues. Soon we're gonna be wrapping it up. Do you guys have any more questions that you want to ask, say, bring up?
I just think like, will this ever stop affecting us?
It never stops affecting you. You just deal with it differently. You learn to deal with it. At least in my case, I was told that, and I feel like it works. Like it's always there, but now I'm able to deal with everything.
It's learning
How to not let it consume you.
learning how to deal with your emotions, right? I hear a lot people that say, "Oh, I grew up to be a drug addict because my parents were drug addicts, or because I grew up without my parents, so I didn't know any better." I don't agree with that.
Oh, I agree.
You agree with that? I don't agree with that, and I'll tell you why. I know many people that have grown up in households without parents. I've even worked with kids who have lived in foster homes, and I've heard stories. I've seen it almost all, not because not all, but and there are people that choose to live the opposite life from what they grew up from. So you have, let's say you're a kid that grew up in a household with parents who were just drug dealers. Do you want that for yourself if you grow older? You don't, right? Some person doesn't know any better, but there are people that are born with that drive of saying, I want to be better than my parents. So their parents, the problem is the reason why they don't want to be that person.
But how do they know there's something better than their parents if they don't know any other world rather than that one?
Because you have school, you have friends, you have the people you surround yourself with.
Also, most of the time when you're in those situations, you're surrounded by more of that situation. I I know that there's a saying tabula rasa. I think it's Latin Greek philosophy. I don't know. Something in my philosophy class, that's what they said. And it's every human is born, every child is born with tabula rasa. Basically a clean slate. Their brain is clean. They don't have not one thought in their brain. And something I've learned is that kids, since the moment they're born, anything that happens to them is shaping who they are. So it'll be very hard that if your parents are drug addicts that you don't end up like them. It's such a high chance that you're gonna end up just like them.
I don't agree.
Unless you have other situations around you that expose you to other things. But most of the time, drug addicts are born into drug addict households, and their parents were drug addicts, their grandparents are drug addicts, and it keeps going. And it's very rare for that to just end, unless you take yourself out of that. But if that's all you know, like how are you gonna know? Like I think of life differently because of my how my parents raised me, but you think of life differently because of how your parents raised you.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense that if you're born in a household where you don't know any better, how do you know better? You're right. But then what about those kids that grew up in those type of households and you know again with an
Which is
absent
probably
father?
like probably 2 out of 10.
I don't know. That would be something that we would have to like see. We don't know the statistics of that, but I do know that you don't have to be the person that.
You don't have to, but it's really hard not to be. Like it's so hard for look at us right now. All we had was daddy issues. And yet it shaped who we are. And it will take us so much to learn not to be like that.
Yeah, it's true.
And we
I
know
agree.
the problem.
And we're also surrounded by friends with like different type of parents with different so I think I don't know. It just I think where you're born and how you're raised has everything to do with how you end up in life.
I think it's just really unfair just to like say to, let's say you are someone that grew up in this drug addict household, and then me, which I also grew in a drug addict, but I met someone that helped me get out of there, and I tell you, hey, this is completely possible, but you have no one to take you out of there. So it's kind of unfair for me to like think that all of the people that was raised into that type of household have the same chances or the same opportunities. I feel like that person that you, and absolutely, it's totally admirable, o sea, increíble, pero hubo una detonante, o sea, un factor que fue lo que lo sacó de eso. No, y un factor que necesariamente that other person will not have.
That is true. I agree. 100%.
For instance, my mom, she grew up in the projects, her house getting shot at, almost dying, like my uncle getting chased by the cops and by like betrothed and all these things. And then she met my dad. And my dad literally had to take her out and show her another world.
Did she have her dad in her life? And it all kind of goes back to these issues.
No, she didn't. Another daddy issues. Well, I think well for in my case, my dad has daddy issues, but I feel like since he knows how his dad is, he tries to be a different type of dad. Pero le sale a veces. Like he's still cold, not cold, but like avoidant, just like my grandpa.
I recently
Wow.
sent a text to my dad because I had him blocked because I was super mad at him. But I sent him a text and I was like, hey dad, even though usted no me ha pedido perdón por absolutamente nada de lo que ha pasado, yo quiero decirle que lo disculpo por todo y... And I also thought, mind you, my dad grew up en Nicaragua con unos padres que le pegaban 3 veces al día sin importar lo que hicieran. And the fact that he has never treated me bad, it's already a change.
Yeah, because he changed the narrative.
And then I'm also gonna do things differently for my kids, but they're still gonna complain about things about me.
You notice progress. You're
And it's
never
gonna keep
perfect.
going. And I'm grateful for the fact that he tried. He tried and he's still trying to like communicate. He's not that type of person. And I feel like the fact that I'm not emotional at all, or I try not to like feel vulnerable around people, that comes from my dad because he's not like that and he'll never be. And it also has a lot to do with like the household he grew up in. But I definitely feel like it's a progress already, and I know I'm also gonna make progress, and that's what makes life in general.
Of course, and it's gonna keep going.
That's deep. That's deep. I think that because of that, you become a better person too.
Yeah,
I think because of that, you become a better person because it kind of goes back a little bit to what we were just talking about. You don't want to become that person.
You're ending generational trauma.
Correct. You're ending the generational trauma because you're aware. A lot of people unfortunately go through these things in life and you know they're not aware. And this isn't necessarily about blaming fathers. It's just about how do we feel uh, about these circumstances, these situations that we've, you know, been through. And you know, you don't have to keep searching for the love that you probably never got, or for the fact that your father was never present when you needed him to be. You are allowed to be the one who stays for you. You know, sometimes you are enough. You're enough for yourself. You don't necessarily need that father figure. Some people it doesn't even affect them. But for people like us, you know, we probably wished a little bit differently. Maybe for me in my case, as an adult, for my father to have more of less of an excuse and to just be more present, whatever it is for you. And then in your case, you know, for him to maybe have been there when you were younger. If no one ever told you this before, you are enough. You know, it doesn't necessarily takes your father's presence for you to think that you're not enough or that you deserve less. You don't. You deserve it. Whatever you think you deserve, you know, you deserve. Just keeping in mind that we're all humans and we all deserve better.
Thank you for us being your first guest.
Yeah, it's such an honor because I feel like once this podcast goes viral, which is gonna happen, we're gonna be like, oh my god, the first video is so awkward.
This video is probably gonna be the most awkward, but again,
But
we will be doing better topics, a lot funner topics, topics a little bit more engaging.
I feel like
you know,
daddy issues had a lot to do with both of them.
yeah, with all of us, really.
Clearly, because Lily realized some things in this podcast.
I did. But anyways, we're hoping that more people want to engage. If you want to provide more topics or anything that maybe you guys want to hear us talk about, we're doing this for fun, really. You know, we're not doing this to get anything out of it, but just fun, talk our feelings, feel better about it, and move forward. So thank you all.
Thank you.